Auzubillahiminash-shaytanir-rajim. Bismillahir-rahmanir-rahim. Assalamu alaikum students. I'm your new chemistry teacher, Amna Manzoor, and today we are going to start our topic of unit number 10, that is two important industrial compounds, ammonia and sulfuric acid. Two important industrial compounds, that is ammonia and sulfuric acid. First of all, I have been informed that the topic of ammonia have been completed, so I have to move forward directly towards the topic of sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid is basically a very important chemical, and it is basically known as the king of all the chemicals due to its vast importance and a large number of uses in the chemical industry. Either it is in the form of manufacturing, either it is for the synthetic means of other chemicals, or for purification and many other uses. So basically sulfuric acid is quite a very important kind of chemical that is prepared in the industry at a very larger amount, round about 50 to 60 million tons. So we are going to start this sulfuric acid topic. In the topic of sulfuric acid, first of all, we have the first step is we are going to study sulfur dioxide. So let's just talk about this topic. Sulfur dioxide is a gaseous material with a molecular formula of SO2. Sulfur dioxide is a compound that is prepared by reacting sulfur with oxygen in the presence of higher temperature to produce this gas. This is basically a simple reaction for the manufacturing of sulfur dioxide. While talking about this, sulfur dioxide reaction is basically needs sulfur and oxygen. Now the question arises, how can we get this sulfur in its form, in this form, so that we can prepare sulfur dioxide? Oxygen is basically pure in is pure in the air and can be reacted with it easily, but the sulfur is obtained by two main processes. First is refining of crude oil, and the second one involves extraction of metals from metal sulfide ores. Whenever the crude oil is basically refined, we get a very adequate or a very sufficient amount of the compounds in which sulfur is present, so that we can use that fraction of the oil for the manufacturing of sulfur dioxide. Contrary, we can use the extraction of metal process. In this process, basically metal sulfide ores are processed, and after this processing we get sulfide ores. In that compound, in that fraction of the product, we have sufficient amount of sulfur that can be burned in the presence of air, and then we will get sulfur dioxide as a product. Now this sulfur is mainly in the form of solid. This oxygen is in the form of gas, and the product we get is also in the form of gas. The point that we need to consider is this oxygen that we call air must be in the form of dry air. The term dry air basically identifies that this oxygen, or you can say the air, must be in the form that it do not have any kind of moisture or the water materials, any kind of water vapors or any kind of moisture or watery material in it. It must be very much dry, because if it has a little or a very minute amount of water, that water will ultimately react with our final product and change it. If sulfur dioxide is going to react with water, it will lead to the formation of sulfurous acid. The whole reaction will be disturbed. The final product is changed now. So in order to maintain the system, we have to extract, we have to gain the sulfur either by the refining of crude oil or by the extraction of metal from the metal sulfide ores. Both are the processes that will provide the sulfur in its pure form. That sulfur will be reacted, or you can say burned, in the presence of dry air at quite high temperatures. So, detailed studies show that these temperatures must be higher than 600 to 700 degrees Celsius, and the final product will be sulfur dioxide, that is a gas. Now moving towards its physical properties, sulfur dioxide is basically a gaseous material with a very pungent kind of smell. And this pungent smell is basically because of its nature, the nature of sulfur present in it, because sulfur is already, used in the explosive and different kind of such materials. So because of the presence of sulfur and a sulfur oxide is here, it has pungent smell, plus it is soluble in water. And whenever dissolved in water, it forms an acidic compound, and that acidic compound will be a very much problem if comes in contact with our skin or eye, and can cause irritation, some little bit of burning and some other problems. So here is all about the sulfur dioxide. Now moving towards its uses in the industry, because sulfur dioxide is such a compound that is very much important because of its uses in the industry. In your syllabus, two of the major uses of sulfur dioxide have been mentioned. Before that, let me just tell you, it is very important. It's the chief uses in the manufacturing. Manufacturing of what? Manufacturing of sulfuric acid, sulfur trioxide, and many other sulfides. The major uses in the manufacturing. Other uses include mild bleaching agent. Mild means a little lighter or slower in action. The bleaching word identifies its own recognition that bleaching means that it decolorizes something. So mild bleaching agent, it means sulfur dioxide is going to serve us in a process where we have to decolorize something. Either that something may be a cloth, maybe a fiber, maybe some kind of other material, but that decolorization is basically performed by sulfur dioxide. Just to understand how this decolorization occurs, we need to understand how a dye is going to perform. If we say we have performed a dye or a color to a fabric, so that fabric is attaining the color of the dye just because of unsaturation in that dye. Because of that unsaturation, the fabric will attain the color of the dye. Now, this unsaturation is basically the reason of the color that fiber have attained from that dye. What does sulfur dioxide is going to do is, its structure is something like this. It also has some kind of unsaturation. 1 sigma and 1 pi, 1 sigma and 1 pi is here. These two pi bonds are going to react with the unsaturation present in the dyes. Whenever these unsaturations are going to react and form sigma bonds with the unsaturation present in the dyes, there will be no unsaturation either in the dye or in the sulfur dioxide. Ultimately, there all will be the sigma bonds and the color will be vanished. So it is going to act as bleaching agent. Now coming towards the other word, why the word mild is here? The word mild is here because this bleaching action is temporary, not the permanent. Because when we provide the sulfur dioxide onto the unsaturation, it form bonds with all the unsaturations in the dye. But whenever it is provided in the free air, this unsaturation is going to react with the oxygen present in the environment, and by getting that oxygen, it will disconnect these. The bond formed with these will be disconnected, will be broken, and all the new bonds will be formed by the oxygen attained or absorbed by the oxygen in the environment, and that unsaturation will be formed again. And forming of unsaturated bonds, either pi bond or the triple bond, will ultimately leads to the regaining of the color of the fabric. So it is a mild bleaching agent because it is going to decolorize the fabric or decolorize any material, but for a short term, after gaining the unsaturation by the oxygen in the environment, it will regain its color. So it is a mild bleaching agent. Now the third use is as a disinfectant. Sulfur dioxide is basically also used as a disinfectant because of its some kind of microbicidal properties. It has the ability to kill bacteria and fungi and can also be used as a material or as a spray or foods that have been dried up for long-term storage. So these are the uses of sulfur dioxide that have been given in the syllabus. Sulfuric acid is basically one of the important chemicals, and sulfur dioxide is used in the manufacturing of sulfuric acid. It is the top most use of sulfur dioxide being prepared at a very large amount in the industry. Now, let us just move towards the next topic given, that is another compound of sulfur, sulfur trioxide. Sulfur trioxide is a compound having the molecular formula SO3. Talking about its manufacturing, sulfur dioxide is basically prepared by the previous reaction. Sulfur dioxide we have just studied is used as a raw material or the starting point, and sulfur dioxide will then be burnt in the presence of oxygen at a relatively lower temperature that was used in the manufacturing of sulfur dioxide. The temperature used here is around 400 degrees Celsius in the presence of platinum catalyst, and in some cases we use V2O5, vanadium pentoxide. It depends. Not both the catalysts are going to be used simultaneously. Either we can use platinum or we can use vanadium pentaoxide. So sulfur dioxide, when burned in the presence of oxygen at relatively temperature of around 400 to 450 degrees Celsius in the presence of a catalyst, it will lead to the formation of sulfur trioxide. This is the main reaction for the manufacturing of sulfur trioxide gas. Let us talk about the conditions. Sulfur dioxide is a gas. Oxygen here is also gas, and sulfur trioxide produced is also in the gas, but when regained, it will lead and change in its solid. So if we talk about the physical properties of sulfur trioxide is basically a solid in its crystalline form. It forms white needle-like crystals that are very sharp in its appearance and very quite beautiful kind of properties and physical appearance in it. Sulfur trioxide is quite opposite to its appearance in sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide was a gas and sulfur trioxide is a white colored needle-like crystals in its physical appearance, having a melting point of 17 degrees Celsius only. If it has a melting point of 17, it means it can be boiled, it can be burnt very easily in the presence of a minute amount of heat. And the boiling point is 45 degrees Celsius. These two properties, melting point and boiling point, are basically telling us that it is quite a very unstable kind of molecule, because it will immediately can be solidized or can be boiled at a very little or minute kind of change in its temperature. I hope I'm clear by now. Now moving towards the uses of sulfur trioxide. Sulfur trioxide can also be used as a disinfectant, just like the sulfur dioxide. Plus, it also has many much uses in the manufacturing. And the chief manufacturing method or the process that is used is again for the sulfuric acid. In the next topic, we are going to discuss the manufacturing process of the sulfuric acid, and you'll learn that sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide, all these raw materials are going to react and form the ultimate product, sulfuric acid. So in this reaction, sulfur trioxide when formed, it can also be used in the manufacturing process. Clear? It can also be used again as disinfectant. These are some of the uses of sulfur trioxide. Now moving towards its symmetry, I told you sulfur dioxide is this kind of material. Now sulfur trioxide is basically sulfur in double bond with 3 oxygens. In this molecule, sulfur is forming 2 bonds with 1 oxygen, 2 with the other, and 2 with other. All these oxygens are having a oxidation state of -2, -2, -2. It is a neutral compound, and you all know neutral compound means the total charge on the compound is 0. If the total charge on the compound is 0, it means all these -2 signs have been nullified. So ultimately we can assume, we can guess the oxidation state on sulfur will be -2, -2, -2, +6. Only then it can be cancelled out and the total charge on sulfur trioxide is 0. Moving towards sulfur dioxide by using the same strategy, if -2 is on the oxygen, -2 is on this oxygen, so what will be the oxidation state of sulfur? No doubt the oxidation state of sulfur here is +4. The basic reason for mentioning this point over here is, do keep it in your mind that not all the not all the elements in the periodic table have the same oxidation state for all the reactions. There are some of the compounds in which the same element is going to show a variety of valencies, variety of oxidation numbers, a different kind, just as sulfur is showing +4 there and +6 there. It means it has a variable kind of valency. And the reason for this is some kind of electron jumping. You are all familiar with the word electron. It is basically a fundamental particle. So electron jumping causes a variety or a difference in the valency of the elements present in the periodic table. It is not the case for all the elements. It is for just a few, and whenever it is the case, I'll mention you. So keep it in mind, sulfur is a compound having a variable valency. In sulfur dioxide, its valency is +4. In sulfur trioxide, its valency is +6. At this point, let's just have a review of the method that how can we calculate the molecular formula of any compound. It will be a revision of previous chapters, plus we need to learn what is the molecular formula of these. Sulfur dioxide, sulfur trioxide. Molecular formula is basically the total amount or the total number of masses in the compound, means the sum of all the masses in the compound. For finding out the molecular mass, we actually add all the masses of all the atoms in the compound. Sulfur plus oxygen plus oxygen, and here is sulfur plus oxygen plus oxygen plus oxygen. Sulfur is going to have a molecular weight of 32, oxygen with 16, and again oxygen with 16. So here we'll be having the formula of sulfur dioxide and molecular formula of it. The alternative method is using sulfur plus having the mass of oxygen, multiplying it with the 2. It will give us the molecular formula of the compound. After having the next topic, learning the next topic, sulfuric acid in detail manufacturing by the process called contact process, I'll give you a minute or a little kind of worksheet in which you will have to solve the sulfuric acid contact process, plus some of the questions related to mole fraction, molecular weight calculations will also be there. So just revise this topic too, along with the sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. Inshallah, we'll meet tomorrow. Thank you.